Part 98. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 972. The big catfish mutilation case happened a year ago. An angler accidentally caught a large catfish and found the remains of a human corpse in the belly of the fish. The forensic doctor found that the incisions of some of the corpses were flat, and it was judged that someone chopped the corpses into pieces and fed them. Fortunately, they were discovered early, otherwise, when the catfish digested the corpses, there would be no traces. The corpses cannot be identified, and even if DNA can be tested, there is no way to compare them, because only some people with criminal records are included in the National DNA Bank. Therefore, judging from the current clues, it is basically impossible to solve this case. Zhuang Jia felt chills down her spine after hearing this, and as the sky outside gradually darkened, she felt a creepy feeling in her heart. In fact, she is quite courageous. Listening to ghost stories and watching horror movies is no problem. Maybe subconsciously knew that those things were fake, so he could distinguish the fake from the real, but what Zhang Xi said happened in the real world, which made Zhuang Jia's scalp tingle. After finally listening to it, there was another round, and this time the one with the lowest points was actually Yu Yang, and it seemed that he was going to share his case at work too. Zhuang Jia had a shadow, and said nervously, "Don't mention catfish again." Yu Yang was stunned for a moment, then smiled, "Don't talk about catfish, let's talk about black roses." Upon hearing this, Mu Zi blurted out and asked, "The Black Rose serial murder case?" Yu Yang nodded slightly, "Well, this case has been suspended for 3 years, and the murderer has never been found." Mu Zi knew about this case. When she was a prosecutor, she assisted in the investigation of the case. The suspect was very cunning and did not leave any valuable clues, so he put it aside every year and passed it from one prosecutor to another, and now it is in the hands of Yu Yang. The victims were all young women, their throats were cut and killed in the bathtub. The murderer soaked the victims in blood and then put a bouquet of black roses on their chests. Yu Yang said, "So far, 4 victims have been killed. The ones." The murderer is a typical narcissistic personality. When mentioning this case, Mu Zi's eyes closed into a smile. He regards killing as a kind of enjoyment, a kind of entertainment. He wandered around for a long time, scrubbed all fingerprints and footprints, and left no trace of his own life, which shows that the murderer is thoughtful, calm, and pursuing perfection. Yu Yang was a little surprised. He didn't expect Mu Zi to know so much about the case. However, when the case was exposed, the media reported overwhelmingly and the police files were also dug up by reporters. It didn't seem surprising that Mu Zi knew some inside information. Zhang Xi interjected, "Every victim is a girl with good conditions, affluent, young and beautiful. Before they died, they all maintained a close relationship with the murderer for a period of time, so the murderer should be very attractive, at least not in appearance. Ugly." "I agree with Zhang Xi." Mu Zi said, "The murderer must look like a man with a very high IQ and EQ. He is well dressed, elegant in conversation, and meticulous. He should show perfectionism tendencies in life, or slight OCD. He put roses on the body of the deceased. He should be a romantic gentleman." Yu Yang said. "Yes, and with a certain amount of financial resources, either in a high-paying job, or inherited a large inheritance." Before you know it, the story turns into a case discussion. "Have you noticed something?" Mu Zi raised doubts. "The murderer clearly had frequent contact with the victim, but none of the witnesses saw the murderer. Even the surveillance cameras only captured him wearing a peaked cap. The murderer has many strong anti-reconnaissance awareness. Is it possible that they are people engaged in police work?" "This possibility is not ruled out," Yu Yang said. "It may also be that there are relatives and friends in the family who are engaged in criminal investigation work." Mu Zi wanted to say more, but Murong Cheng touched her head and sighed softly, "Zi." Muzi was stunned for a moment, but then she came to her senses and turned to look at Zhang Xinyuan, Zhuangjie, and Guyan. The expressions of the three were complicated. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 973. It's embarrassing. Occupational disease caused trouble, and when Muzi heard about the case, her brain cells became active uncontrollably. Muzi sneered and said, "Okay, you guys have to fly back to Xinjiang tomorrow, why don't you go to bed early today?" Zhuangjie said with a mournful face, "It's time to rest early, if you listen to it anymore, I will definitely have a nightmare." "Maybe you will dream of grilling big catfish," Zhang Ci joked. "Officer Zhang, please spare me," Zhuangjie couldn't laugh or cry. Everyone talked and laughed for a while, and finally the scene was over, and they went back to their rooms to rest. The family has plenty of guest rooms, Zhuangjie and Zhang Xinyuan sleep in the same room, and everyone else has their own room. When Guyan returned to his room, he saw Yu Yang calling Zhang Ci to stop. The two talked in a low voice, and then went to Yu Yang's room together. Why did Officer Zhang go to Yu Yang's room? He couldn't help asking Zhuangjie beside him. Zhuangjie shrugged, "How do I know? Maybe they have jobs to talk about. They are all judicial workers, so they must have something in common." After finishing speaking, she probably remembered that Yu Yang and Zhang Ci had handled the big catfish case together, and she felt a little goosebumps on her body, rubbed her cold arms and turned away. Guyan felt stuffy in his heart and couldn't tell what he was feeling, so he also went back to his room. At night, everything is silent, only the sound of insects outside the window. Muzi quietly nestled in Murongcheng's arms, feeling sleepy gradually. When he was about to fall asleep, he vaguely heard Murongcheng calling his name, and Muzi responded softly. Murongcheng whispered, "When you graduate in the future, have you considered becoming a lawyer?" "Lawyer?" Muzi woke up a little bit, looked up at him, "Why do you ask this suddenly?" Murongcheng sighed softly, hugged her into his arms, and pressed his lips to her forehead. "You seem to want to be a prosecutor wholeheartedly." "Is the prosecutor okay?" Muzi asked. "How is the prosecutor?" Murongcheng asked her back. "The work is intense and stressful. The people you deal with every day are either the sad and angry relatives of the victims, or the murderous and violent criminals." Murongcheng said, "Zizi, this job is too dangerous. If you want justice, wouldn't it be better to choose a lawyer?" Muzi was silent. She doesn't dislike the job of a lawyer, but what she wants to do has always been a prosecutor. The sense of accomplishment of these two jobs is very different. One exonerates the innocent, and the other convicts the wicked. Of course, in terms of danger, the prosecutor must be better. This is why every prosecutor must learn shooting and fighting skills. Even if he cannot be both civil and military, he must at least have the ability to defend himself when facing criminals. Helping the innocent is as important as punishing criminals. Whether to choose a lawyer or a prosecutor, I'll think about it again. Muzi smiled, and kissed the corner of Murongcheng's lips. "Maybe I will change my mind when I graduate, I might even be a judge." Murongcheng laughed. "Female judge?" He didn't believe that Muzi could sit still. "Forget it, there are still 2 years to graduate, so it's important to find a way to sow a seed in her stomach first. When the time comes to drag a child, maybe she will take the initiative to stay away from danger without his persuasion." Thinking of this, Murongcheng turned over and pressed her under him, kissed her snowy neck, and fell down to her collarbone leisurely. Muzi completely woke up from his doze, and half pushed, "It's just noon." "I know." Murongcheng slid his hand into her pajamas, and slowly rubbed her skin. The skin was soft and delicate like cream. He took off her pajamas and whispered, "I'm going to the presidential palace for a whole day tomorrow. Advance payment for tomorrow." Muzi's breathing was slightly chaotic, and she was thinking in a daze, This is not an advance payment, this is an overdraft. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 974. The next day was the day when Shao returned home. Cheng didn't think that the presidential palace was Zi's official family home, but since the marriage was arranged in the name of the president, he always had to go back and have a look at it on the day of his return. The two sent their friends to the airport first, and then drove to the presidential palace. Zhuangjia looked at the back of the two leaving, envious in her heart, and felt that Zi was really lucky to be able to achieve a positive result with the person he liked. Zhang Xinyuan patted her on the shoulder. The next one is your turn to get married. Zhuangjia smiled and said, then you are at the bottom? My parents don't approve of me getting married too early. Zhang Xinyuan sighed with a smile, it should be related to my brother's matter. They hope that I have a thorough understanding of the other half before we talk about marriage. Zhang Huan's marriage became a joke, casting a cloud over the Zhang family, causing Jiang's father and Jiang's mother to be more cautious about their children's marriage. On the contrary, Zhuangjia's parents did not interfere with her marriage at all. When Zhuangjia got married abroad, Zhuangjia's mother just asked, have you thought it through? Zhuangjia thinks she has figured it out. She fell in love, and felt that that man was her true destiny. Every trait in him was right in her heart, and she liked everything and everything in him. But recently, she has become more and more uncertain. Zhuangjia was full of worries and boarded the plane. After more than 2 hours of flight, they returned to Qingjiang City and parted ways at the airport. Zhuangjia turned on the phone that had been turned off for a long time, and saw the unread messages and missed calls like swiping the screen, and the depression finally dissipated a little. He still has her in his heart. Zhuangjia smiled sweetly. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xinyuan poked his head over and took a look. Oh, what a nasty love story. Damn it, no peeking. Zhuangjia covered her phone. Zhang Xinyuan was overjoyed. I see you, it's better not to do it. You shut down the phone all day, and people worry about you all day. It's really pitiful to think about it. Go buy some gifts to comfort him. Zhuangjia pouted. Who told him not to come to the wedding? If he comes, will I turn off the phone? Zhang Xinyuan said, yes, miss, everything you say is right, it's all his fault. Yes. It's his fault, Zhuangjia replied stiffly, and then her voice changed unnaturally, but, it's not right for me to turn off the phone, so, let's cancel it out. This time from Jingling when I come back, I should bring him some gifts. Give him this. Zhang Xinyuan took out a paper rose from the bag and handed it to her. The wedding things are more interesting. Zhuangjia happily accepted it. On the way back, Zhuangjia's husband called. This time, Zhuangjia didn't lose his temper and answered the phone in a good mood. Well, I'm back, I just got off the plane. Zhuangjia played with the banknote rose in her hand, her brows were curved, and she smiled. I brought you a little surprise. Guess what it is? The man's voice was pleasant. It's such a coincidence, I also prepared a surprise for you. Guess what? I can't guess, tell me. Zhuangjia said coquettishly. The man on the other end of the phone smiled softly. Jia, you'll know when you come back and take a look. Zhuangjia said sweetly, okay. The taxi was driving fast, the sun was shining outside the window, and the city was bustling. Looking at the scenery outside the window, Zhuangjia's mood gradually soared. About an hour later, the taxi stopped in front of the gate of a high-end apartment. This is a wedding house bought by Zhuangjia and her husband. At that time, they were abroad, and Zhuangjia's mother had full authority to handle the formalities. Zhuangjia rang the doorbell, but no one opened the door, so he opened the door with the key. As soon as she walked in, she could smell the aroma of food. Zhuangjia changed her shoes and went directly to the dining room. Sure enough, she saw the table was full of sumptuous food. The corners of Zhuangjia's mouth could not help but curl up. There is also a cake next to it, which says, "Jia Jia, I will love you till death." Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 975. I love you too. Zhuangjia was in a happy mood. The table was full of her favorite dishes. She picked up a curry shrimp tail from the plate and ate it. It was warm, which meant that she had just left not long ago. Zhuangjia was so happy that she put down her luggage and went to the bedroom humming a song. Putting on home clothes, she became much lighter. When she saw the paper rose she had brought back, she suddenly had an idea, took a pen, and wrote a sentence on the banknote rose. I love you will never change until death. It's not interesting to send such a little thing out directly. It has to be hidden in a place, so that he will be more pleasantly surprised if he discovers it inadvertently. Where should I hide it? Zhuangjia looked around the room, but couldn't find any good place. She remembered that her husband had a buffalo leather business tote bag, and it would be a good place to put it there. But her husband is very privacy conscious and usually forbids anyone to look through his things. Zhuangjia respects each other very much in this regard, because she also hates being looked at her bag or mobile phone. However, just put something in it, it should be fine, right? Zhuangjia took out the business tote bag from the closet, opened it, and put the roses in it. When he was about to close it again, he glanced at the inner bag with a combination lock, which was actually locked. She was quite surprised. What is not safe enough in the bag, it needs to be locked? Important documents and bank cards are outside, what could be more important than these? Zhuangjia felt through the layer of leather, and it was bulging inside. Could it be a love letter written by an old lover, she thought half-jokingly. Zhuangjia has a little understanding of this brand of official tote bags. The liner combination lock is a retro-style brass axle design, which is more beautiful than practical. There is usually a default password, which can be changed later, but the process of changing the password is very slow. It is cumbersome, so most customers find it troublesome and will not change their passwords. Zhuangjia turned the lock wheel to adjust the number to the 3-digit number of the default password, and the lock wheel opened with a click. She smiled smugly, reached out her hand to feel inside, found a stack of papers, and took it out to see. It was an ID card and a pile of newspaper clippings. Zhuangjia couldn't help laughing. It's so old-fashioned. What age is it, and you still collect newspaper clippings like a grandfather? Zhuangjia didn't pay much attention to it, and was about to put it back intact, but suddenly felt something was wrong, so she took another look. The name on the certificate was wrong, not her husband's name. Could this be his old name before? Zhuangjia frowned and thought for a while, then dug into the inner bag again, and found the other 2 IDs, both with the same face, different names, and different dates of birth. What happened? No normal person would have so many identity documents. Then open those folded newspaper clippings. The news on each clipping is all about the Black Rose serial murder case. Black Rose. In an instant, Zhuangjia's face turned pale, her hands lost strength, and all the documents and newspaper clippings were scattered on the ground. Her body seemed to be frozen, and she didn't move for a long time. A voice in her head was yelling at her, "Run away." But her feet seemed to be nailed to the floor, and she couldn't move. How to do? What should she do? Is her lover actually a serial murderer that the police have been chasing for many years? How is this possible? He was so funny, so polite, so gentle, so in love with her. How could he kill her? Could it be that she made a mistake? Zhuangjia was on the verge of collapse. Then, be a little more rational, and pull her back to reality. She realizes that she must flee. Escape. Run away now. Zhuang Jia grabbed the phone, called Mu Ziyi, and ran out. He didn't even have time to change his clothes, so as soon as the phone was connected, he said, "Zizi, listen to me." The door of the room opened suddenly, and a man walked in with a bouquet of black roses in his hand, with a warm smile. "Jia Jia, you are back. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 976. Zhuang Jia stared blankly at the man at the door, her eyes fell on the rose in his hand, all the words were choked in her throat, and she couldn't speak anymore. The blood froze inch by inch, as if falling into an ice cave, and she shivered from the cold. Cannot say. Once he said it and showed his flaws, he would kill her immediately. What's wrong? Are you so happy? The man walked over with a smile, put the bouquet aside, put his arms around her waist, and kissed her forehead lightly. Zhuang Jia's body was numb. At this time, Mu Ziyi asked on the other end of the phone, "Zhuang Jia, what's the matter? Are you home yet?" Zhuang Jia's voice was as slow as her heart, beating extremely slowly as if it was frozen. "The jingling specialties you mentioned, remember to write a new address when sending them over, Building 53, Dongcheng Street, Unit 1 Room 121, please don't send it wrong." She didn't dare to say more, for fear that Mu Ziyi would reveal her secret by saying something wrong, so she immediately hung up the phone. But after hanging up, a huge despair rose in my heart. She lost the chance to seek help from the outside world. "Jia Jia, you are very cold." The man pressed her cheek and said softly, "Go into the room and add some clothes." Zhuang Jia forced a smile, turned stiffly and went back to the room. The man pulled out the phone from her hand and said, "It's almost out of battery, I'll charge it for you." Zhuang Jia wanted to take back her mobile phone, but when she touched the man's uncompromising eyes, she flinched and lost all courage. She didn't dare to show any clues, not even a little clue. If he finds out that she is suspicious, she will die. Must die. Zhuang Jia walked back to the room step by step. She was completely numb. The brain is like cement, and after cooling, it solidifies and becomes stiff, unable to think. Until she saw the scattered documents and newspaper clippings on the floor, like a bone-chilling wave, which woke her up abruptly. Zhuang Jia immediately picked up the things on the ground, stuffed them into the buffalo leather tote bag, and put the bag back in place. She had just closed the door of the closet when the man walked into the room just in time. Seeing that she was still wearing a thin sleeveless t-shirt, he smiled slightly. "Why haven't you put it on yet? Although it is summer, the temperature of the air conditioner is not low. It's easy to catch a cold." "I'm looking for." Zhuang Jia was terrified in her heart, nervously looking for reasons. "I'm looking for that coat." She tried to be natural, with a smile on her lips, and asked him, "Did you see my dress? It's light green. Isn't it here?" The man picked up the clothes hanging on the floor-to-ceiling hanger by the door, walked over to cover Zhuang Jia, and pampered her head. "I'm so big and still forget about it. Okay, come out to eat quickly bar." The man leaves the room. Zhuang Jia stood in the room blankly, his mind froze. She was thinking, should I lock the door to prevent him from coming in? The idea is ridiculous. This is the new house they share, and there are spare keys for each room in the living room. Locking the door will not stop him. So what should she do? Just rush out and escape? I am afraid that he will be caught by him in the elevator, and it is even more unrealistic to take the stairs. Shout out for help? The soundproofing of this room is excellent, and it is working hours, and the neighbors may not be at home. Escape from the window? Here is a 12-story building. Even if she got the phone and called the police, how should she protect herself before the police arrived? Zhuang Jia suddenly regretted it. If she could put a gun in her bag like Muzi, it would be great. How to do? How to do? How to do? She has just turned 20, and she doesn't want to die yet. Zhuangjia was anxious, she was thinking eagerly, and then her eyes fell on the standing medicine box at home. Is there any medicine that can save her? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 977. Muzi suddenly received a call from Zhuangjia and was at a loss. Before she could ask clearly, Zhuangjia hung up the phone. What's wrong? Murongcheng asked aloud, seeing her in a daze. Muzi frowned, and slowly shook her head. She was a little puzzled, and wondered if she was thinking too much. It was already lunchtime, and the servants brought the food to the table, which was dazzling. The old lady was crying faintly. What is she doing here? Is she deliberately trying to embarrass Yue? A bad person's marriage will be struck by lightning, let her go. No one wants to see her show off her prestige here. Ning Yue and Xia Lixuan were not able to get married, so naturally there was no so-called homecoming day. In fact, these few days she stayed behind closed doors and locked herself in the room, which made the old lady feel bad. And Muzi, who was so beautiful, became the target of the old lady's anger. Mr. Sidhu shouted, "Have you had enough trouble? You are the one who wants to get married on the same day, and now you are the one who blames them for getting married on the same day. What do you really want?" The quarrel came intermittently. Murongcheng frowned in displeasure, feeling extremely bored with this old woman in his heart, and wanted to shake his face and leave now. He looked at Muzi, but found that Muzi was deep in thought, as if he hadn't heard the quarrel. It's okay not to hear. Hearing these insults will only dirty one's ears and spoil one's mood. Murongcheng patted Muzi's head. Muzi suddenly raised her head and asked him, "Have we ever said to send special products to Zhuangjia?" Murongcheng was stunned. Special products? Now that online shopping is so convenient, why don't we send it if we can't buy it? Murongcheng Muzi's face turned slightly pale, and he said nervously, "Something may have happened to Zhuangjia." Murongcheng was puzzled. What happened? What did she say on the phone just now? Muzi didn't have time to explain. She immediately dialed Jiangxi's number, but the line was busy. She immediately changed to Yu Yang's number. Yu Yang is a prosecutor and has the right to dispatch the police. It is more suitable to find him than Jiangxi. As soon as the phone was connected, Muzi immediately said, "Yu Yang, are you free now? Can you go to Dongcheng Street immediately? Room 121, Unit 1, Building 53, Dongcheng Street. I suspect that something happened to Zhuangjia. Called, said some very strange things, probably asking me for help." "Did you call her later?" Yu Yang asked. Muzi replied, "No, I don't know the situation over there, I'm worried that it will be self-defeating." "Don't worry, I'll take some police officers over there to have a look," Yu Yang said, "I'll call you when I get there." After finishing the call, Muzi became more and more uneasy. Thinking back carefully, Zhuangjia's voice just now seemed very strange, as if the voice line was extremely tight, and the tone was flat without ups and downs. She thought it was because Zhuangjia was exhausted after getting off the plane, but if she was really exhausted, why would she want to send jingling specialties to her as soon as she entered the house? Unreasonable everywhere. "Zizi, let's eat first." Murongcheng held her hand and comforted her. "Since Yu Yang has already left, Zhuangjia will be fine, and it won't help if we worry about it here. Let's wait for the news while eating." Muzi nodded thoughtfully, and murmured, "Zhuangjia is so clever, she will be fine." Muzi's heart tightened. She was led to the table by Murong Chang, and she had no appetite. The old lady lost her temper and refused to come out for dinner. Mr. Sidhu whitewashed the piece, saying that the old lady was not feeling well, but Muzi didn't care. She silently listened to the people at the dinner table, and glanced at her mobile phone from time to time. I hope you Yang can rush over as soon as possible. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 978. When Zhuangjia came out of the room, her back was tense, and she walked towards the man step by step, still feeling incredible. So it's all fake. What did he say that he wanted to be with her for the rest of his life? What said that meeting her was the greatest luck in his life? What said that he loved her until death? So, they were all lying to her. She should break down and cry. But she couldn't shed a tear, as long as he thought that he would cut her neck open with a knife, let the blood flow into the trachea, choke into the lungs, and suffer from suffocation and pain. Zhuangjia trembled all over, only feeling fear. It turned out that she didn't love him that much. When her life is at stake, she can't spare any extra thoughts to think about her love. Come and eat. The man stood at the dining table and slowly poured wine into the goblet. The color was bright and bright, like blood. Zhuangjia pursed her lips, and tentatively said, I'll go out for a while. Where are you going? The man asked. Go downstairs to buy sanitary napkins. Zhuangjia tugged at the corners of her mouth, trying to make her smile look natural. It's a little uncomfortable, there are always a few days every month. The man smiled, no need, there is a new pack in the closet in the bathroom, did you forget? Zhuangjia's smile condensed on the corner of her lips, really? That's a really bad reason. But even if he finds a better reason, he won't allow her to go out. What should I do now? The temptation can only be done once, and if there are too many temptations, it will arouse his suspicion. Zhuangjia inhaled slowly. The man put away the wine bottle and said, since you're on your period, don't drink. He looked up at her and waved, what are you doing so stupidly? Come and eat. Zhuangjia had no choice but to walk over. Delicious food, flowers, and wine are placed on the table. If she hadn't heard that story, Zhuangjia felt that she would be very happy and sweet at this moment, right? Seeing her in a daze, the man asked with a smile, Jia, what's the matter with you today? Eat vegetables. Eat vegetables. Zhuangjia recalled the mouthful of curry prawn tails he ate when he first walked in, and felt his stomach cramping and wanted to gag. Who is sure that there are no drugs in these foods? Zhuangjia pinched the chopsticks and did not move for a long time. She and this man met abroad. At that time, she was in a convenience store and forgot to bring her wallet, so she couldn't pay the bill. The man happened to line up behind her and helped her out to pay. Because they both happened to be from Huaya country, they felt friendly, so they left each other's phone numbers. Getting acquainted with each other after coming and going, the more we chat, the more we feel that we hate seeing each other too late. At that time, she felt that she had met her true love, but when she recalled it now, she realized that she knew too little about this man. Jia, do you have no appetite? The man showed concern when he saw that she was not eating. Zhuangjia gave a low hum. Oh, you must be too tired. The man put down his chopsticks, got up and walked behind her, and gently stroked her shoulders with his hands. I put hot water for you, you go take a bath and relax. After that, he pulled Zhuangjia up. Zhuangjia suddenly panicked, no. No need. Jia, you need to relax, the man said. His tone was distinctly gentle, but the strength in his hand was undiminished. Zhuangjia vaguely understood what was waiting for her. She couldn't help but tightened her grip on the table, and refused to go to the bathroom with the man. I don't want to go to the bathroom right now. The man frowned slightly. Jia. Zhuangjia took a deep breath, pretending not to understand the flash of excitement in his eyes. Actually, actually, I have something that I want to tell you. She tried hard to control her trembling tongue and said to him, this time I went to Jingling to attend a friend's wedding. I have to confess this matter to you. Otherwise, I will never let it go. The man's eyes were gloomy, like a silent pool without ripples, and no secret could shake his fascination with killing. Jia, we can talk later. No, Zhuangjia's voice suddenly rose, let's talk now, I can't wait for a moment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 979. The man was silent for a moment, his expression was subtle, as if he was a little irritable, and also seemed to be a disappointment. In the end he compromised, maybe hoping to do it in a better situation, and the frizz would lose some of the fun. Well, what do you want to talk about? He asked. What are you talking about? Zhuangjia didn't think about it at all, she just wanted to delay the time. That happened a long time ago, I hope you don't get too surprised or angry when you find out. Zhuangjia said as she walked to the coffee machine and used the movement of brewing coffee to hide her nervousness. The man frowned and said, Jia, I love you, no matter what you have done, I will forgive you. He thought that Zhuangjia wanted to reveal his past relationship history. Zhuangjia turned around and put the coffee in front of him, while she sat opposite him, keeping a certain distance. I want to talk to you about my former boyfriends. Jia, the man leaned over and held Zhuangjia's hand. I don't care about that, as long as we love each other now, what happened in the past doesn't matter at all. What if they are all dead? Zhuangjia withdrew her hand, lowered her head and said in a low voice, if they are all dead, don't you think it's not important? Dead? The man frowned deeply, with surprise in his eyes. Yes, Zhuangjia nodded, whenever I fall in love with a man, he will die unexpectedly. The man laughed, Jia, this is superstition, I will not die. He stood up and said, baby, you are too tired, go to the bathroom to take a bath first, let's talk slowly if you have anything to say. He was always obsessed with coaxing Zhuangjia into the bathroom. No, Zhuangjia clenched her fists tightly, digging her nails into her flesh to keep herself from losing control. I hope you can listen to the whole thing before deciding whether to stay with me. The man was helpless, showing impatience in his helplessness. Okay. He sat back down. Zhuangjia breathed a sigh of relief. You know, because of my mother, I have been exposed to many models since I was a child. Zhuangjia slowly opened his mouth. The model circle is very chaotic, full of precocious boys and girls, 13 or 14-year-olds they look like adults, and they will fall in love like adults. When I was 16, I met a male model named Philip. He was of mixed race, tall and handsome. He was one of my mother's favorite models. I was smitten with him and we fell in love. You have lived abroad, and you must know that girls can get married as long as they are 15 years old in France, so I proposed to go to France to register for marriage, but he refused. I was very angry at the time and had a big fight with him. He apologized to me and begged for my forgiveness. It turned out that he was only 14 years old, not even under the age of marriage. 14 years old. You fell in love with a 14-year-old boy, the man was surprised. Zhuangjia said, he really doesn't look like 14 years old at all, I thought he was at least 20 years old. She sighed lowly, seeing that the coffee in the cup hadn't moved at all, she reminded, aren't you going to drink it? The man took a sip of coffee. How does it taste? Zhuangjia said, the secret my mother taught me is to brew coffee with 90-degree hot water, no more, no less. Well, it tastes good, a little bit bitter, the man said, taking a few more sips. Coffee, of course it will be bitter. Zhuangjia opened the sugar box on the table and helped him pick up a sugar cube. Go ahead, the man urged, what happened to you and that 14-year-old boy? Zhuangjia clasped her hands together, Slowly stroking the moisture in her palms, her flustered heart strangely calmed down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 980. When a man asks this, it means he is attracted to her story. This is a good situation and can win her life. Later, I asked him to break up. Zhuangjia's thoughts gradually became clear, and she continued, but he loves me very much and doesn't want to break up. He said that if I break up, he will tell my mother about the two of us. I mustn't let my mom know about this. No one else. If anyone knew that I had sex with a 14-year-old boy, my life would be over. Not only will I be ruined, but my mother's career and reputation will also be ruined by me. I had no choice but to continue to be in a relationship with him, but our relationship has changed, and I just think that he is only 14 years old, and I can't love him. I feel sick to him, and I feel sick to myself. Jia, you are not wrong. The man comforted her, he was the one who hid his age from you first. Zhuangjia nodded weakly. Later, his temper became more and more irritable, probably because he was dissatisfied with my indifference. When we got along in private, he often beat and scolded me. Not only that, but also deliberately made things difficult for me. One day he asked me out for a picnic, but I didn't want to, so he threatened me again, saying that if I didn't go, he would call my mother and explain everything. I had no choice but to prepare coffee, sandwiches and fruit salad, and go on a picnic with him. He rented a small boat, and we watched the scenery on the river while eating, and then he fell asleep, and I pushed him into the water, and came back alone. The man's eyes widened in astonishment. You killed him? Yes. Zhuangjia lowered her head. I killed him. No one suspects? The man asked. I used his mobile phone to send text messages to other people. Everyone thought he had left the city, and my mother was going to pursue him for breaking the contract, but I persuaded him. Zhuangjia let out a sigh of relief. Nobody knew he was dead. The man asked her, why are you telling me now? You will find out soon. Zhuangjia continued, I told you just now that no one knew he was dead. In fact, it was wrong. There is a person who has been tracking down his whereabouts. Who? Philly's elder brother. He has been looking for Philly's whereabouts. Zhuangjia looked up at the man. Philly's brother is more handsome and taller than him, and most importantly, he is more mature. Philly mentioned me when he called him before, so he asked me about Philly where to go. I expressed my willingness to help him, and he thanked me very much. We got along happily. Slowly, we fell in love. The disappearance of Lee has always made him unable to let go. He said that if there is no news of Philip, he can only call the police. I am very scared. What should I do if the police find out that I did it? I can't risk. Zhuangjia sighed softly and said, I asked him to go to the river. Like last time, I brought coffee, sandwiches and fruit salad for a picnic. When he fell asleep, I pushed him into the river. But what about the corpse? Did no one find the two corpses in the river? The man asked in confusion. Zhuangjia said, there are some catfish in that river, they are like scavengers, they will eat everything. The man suddenly realized, stood up and pointed at her and said, you are the culprit in that case. Before he finished speaking, his body shook suddenly, as if he was dizzy from an unstable center of gravity, and he hurriedly supported the table. You made them drink coffee, so they fell asleep. The man realized, his expression changed drastically. You bitch. What did you give me to drink? He rushed over ferociously, but he was dizzy and rushed all over the place. Zhuangjia screamed and ran to the gate, and quickly opened it. Yu Yang and a group of police officers had just arrived. When Zhuangjia saw Yu Yang, she threw herself into his arms and cried out loud. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 981. The police rushed in and subdued the men in the house. The man's hands and feet were weak, dizzy, and he was escorted into the police car without any power to parry. When police officers searched the bathroom, they found sharp blades hidden in towels, and found all the fake documents in the buffalo leather tote bag. Zhuangjia hugged Yu Yang and cried until the suspect was arrested. All the fear that had been suppressed just now was released at this moment. Her entire body has completely collapsed. Yu Yang couldn't pull her away. As an important witness, Yu Yang still needs to ask Zhuangjia for questioning. He dragged Zhuangjia, who was out of control, into the car, forced her on the seat, fastened her seat belt, and put a pack of tissues on her lap. The car started, driving in the rush of traffic, and stopped because of the traffic lights. Probably when he came to a popular downtown, Zhuangjia felt safe and gradually regained his senses. Although the tears were still flowing, he finally stopped crying. She silently wiped away her tears with a tissue and choked from time to time, looking pitiful. Yu Yang held the steering wheel with both hands, glanced at her from the corner of the eye, and asked, "Do you want to listen to music? It can help you adjust your mood." "No, thank you," Zhuangjia sniffed, her eyes were red from crying. Yu Yang stopped pushing and concentrated on driving. Considering that Zhuangjia's mood might not be stable yet, after arriving at the police station, Yu Yang called Zhang Ci and asked Zhang Ci and another female police officer to help Zhuangjia record a statement. With the presence of acquaintances, her mood must be more stable. Seeing Zhang Ci, Zhuangjia really seemed to have seen a savior and found a savior, and she rushed over and cried aggrievedly. Zhang Ci was at a loss. "What's the situation?" "Her husband may be the Black Rose killer," Yu Yang said. Zhang Ci was dumbfounded. "What? It's not sure yet, I'll go to interrogate the suspect first." Yu Yang strode in, waved his back to Zhang Ci, and said, "You can give her a statement. The whole package of papers in my car was wet by her crying." Zhang Ci was embarrassed. She was not good at coaxing girls or something. Having said that, there are probably not many people in this world who can not collapse when they meet a serial murderer. Zhang Ci took Zhuangjia to a separate room to record a statement, and asked about the cause and effect. Zhuangjia's story here is very clear. After returning home, she found fake documents and Black Rose news clippings, and then her husband came back with a bouquet of black roses in his hand, urging her to go to the bathroom repeatedly, all of which made Zhuangjia suspicious of her husband. The blade found in the bathroom later also proved this point. Zhuangjia's husband did have a murder attempt. As for whether it is Black Rose's murderer, further investigation is needed. After Zhang Ci finished asking, she waited for the result from Yu Yang. It takes a long time to wait. Finally, when Yu Yang came out, Zhang Ci couldn't help but ask, "Why is it taking so long?" "He was drowsy. I let him sleep for half an hour before starting the interrogation." Yu Yang looked at Zhuangjia. "What did you feed him?" Zhuangjia's eyes were red and swollen, and she replied hoarsely, "The cold medicine contains chlorpheniramine maleate, and the side effect will make people drowsy. This is the only medicine she can find in the medicine box that can be used. Although it will not make people unconscious, sleepiness can make the other person unresponsive, and Zhuangjia can also be more alive." "You did a good job." Yu Yang patted Zhuangjia on the shoulder lightly. "Go back and rest first. We will contact you again if you have follow-up questions. Do you want me to call a car for you?" Zhang Ci looked pitifully at Zhuangjia, and said, "I'll take you back." "No need." Zhuangjia sniffed. "My mother will pick me up later. Your work is more important. You must put him in jail." As she spoke, her eyes turned red again, as if she was about to cry at any moment.